become a tax advisor. Maybe you've considered it, but you just don't know where to start. So today's all for you. And if you're an experienced advisor, somebody who's offered advisory in the past, but you're struggling to get new clients, maybe you're not sure what to say or what to do, today's all for you as well. So I'm gonna break it all down. So follow me through today where I break down exactly what it is that you need to do to get to the advisory clients that you need. So I want to start by using a quote. One of my favorite books is Atomic Habits. And what I believe is that all things fall and rise with the systems that we use. And systems are defined as processes and procedures that get us to a systematic outcome, meaning it always produces the same outcome. And James Clear in his book says, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fail to the level of your systems. And what he's saying here is if you don't have systems, if you don't have processes, if you're not structured in your approach, you'll never know what works. And so today, what I want to do is I want to give you some formulas. I want to give you those frameworks, those systems that you can follow to go through and really break down how to offer advisory. So you're probably wondering who I am. My name is David A. Bettis. Now, I am a tax advisor just like you, but I'm more so a recovering tax professional. You see, for the last 16 years, I've been in the tax industry and I've helped thousands of clients file their taxes. In fact, in my career, we prepared over 50,000 tax returns, and of which most of those were for clients who got a refund. You see, I live in one of the poorest counties in the whole country, and the majority of my clients were in person, drop offs, file your return, refund season versus tax season. And I didn't have a lot of those clients that I wanted to have like we want now. And in my journey, I learned a lot of things. I learned how to file returns. I learned how to do bookkeeping. I learned how to do payroll. I learned how to do all the extra stuff that we have to do as tax preparers. And it was always a constant, never ending learning battle to keep up with my clients. And I always felt like it was just me getting run over day from people who wanted more from me, but didn't want to pay me anymore. Anybody feel like that? Have you ever been there? Well, the challenge today I see is that that was my career. And I see that with so many people who are in the tax business even more so today, because now, back when I was filing returns, I could get three, four, $500, but today it's harder than ever to increase your fees. And in 2020, when the world kind of shifted and everything changed for me, it was when I was forced to go online. You see, many of our businesses had to go online, and I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know where to begin. But what I realized very quickly is that there's a whole new world out there. There are more people out there today looking for advice than ever before, and I didn't know that. I was just so thinking so small in my mind. I was restricting myself and my limitations to my local market. And because I did that, well, I never was able to see the bigger picture. And when I did, it was like a new world. And so I started to meet clients from all over the country who were asking me for advice and to file returns and things. And I realized in 2020 that I knew more than just taxes. And it wasn't because I was some guru. It wasn't because I had so much experience. It was more so because clients were asking me questions that I had to solve that were also my problems. You see, if you've got a business today, you're probably going through some of the challenges your clients go through. How do I form my structure of my business? LLC versus S Corp. S Corps, what are the taxation issues? Like things that you already know, you probably think of them as second nature. Well, I did too, until I realized that people don't know the things we know. And so when I started to meet these type of clients, I said, I want to help them. And they were giving me the opportunity to earn their business, and I took it. And when I took it, it was an incredible journey for me because clients were now starting to pay me for my advice rather than for my work. And I was getting paid large sums of money, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 at a time, to help them file, not just file returns, but also give them advice on tax savings. And so what I learned in that process is that there are more people out there than ever before that need help, and I wanted to help them. And so today, that's all I do. I focus on tax advisory. We've built a 7 and now 8-figure tax advisory practice that is building and helping people build wealth through tax savings. And today we've coached over 4,654 tax professionals. We've trained rather 4,564 tax professionals on how to offer tax advisory. And today we are working directly with over 160 advisors to scale their tax practice to over 7 figures. And so today I want to share with you the frameworks, the ideas, the concepts to go get new business, the 3 steps to offering tax advisory. So if you're here today, in the chat, say hello because today is going to be for you. Okay. Today I'm going to help you. So we're going to break this down into steps. Okay. So we're going to break this in steps. And by the way, I got a lot of notes here for you. So we're going to break it into steps. Okay. So we're going to start today with understanding tax strategies, what strategies you need to know. Then we're going to go to learning who and what to offer. Who do you want to go after and what to offer those people? And then we're going to end it today with how much to charge and how to get them to pay you. These are the 3 steps. Okay. So today we're going to go through this together. So let's talk about tax strategies first, right? So let's go to the board. Alex, can we go to the board? So let's go to tax strategies, right? So, many of us struggle with tax strategies because when I got into the game, I was so afraid of over promising. I was so afraid of saying to a client, I want to do this for you, and then not being able to deliver. So, what I did in the beginning is I stuck to the basics. I stuck to the things that I think I could solve those problems. And a lot of that was kind of common stuff, right? It first started with me going from Schedule C, right? This is the first one, to S Corp. That was so simple to me. And as soon as I figured that out, I was like, oh, okay, I could just convert these guys to an S Corp. And that was the beginning of the strategy. And then it was, oh, now I could help these guys. Maybe after that, I could do it late. Imagine that. And then I was like, well, maybe we could try this Augusta thing. So then we did this Augusta rule, which was becoming very popularized. Then it was like a retirement plan, right? Retirement. Then it was, what else did we do? Paying kids. Okay, this is it. And so on and so forth. So we have all these strategies, right? And so I was playing with the basics because that's what I wanted to do, right? And so what I really realized, right, in the beginning is I just needed a handful of strategies to have a huge impact on my clients because to be quite honest with you, they'd never had this before. So whatever I did was more than they knew. So we didn't have to change the world. We didn't have to solve world hunger. We just had to give them something. And so what I've done, or what I did is I said, I'm going to write down all the strategies I know. And then what I started to do is I started to tier them out. And I said, you know what? These are all, we'll call this right here, tier 1. And the reason this is tier 1 is because these are the strategies that I knew we could execute pretty easily. And then as I started to get into the tax advisory world, I started to see there's tier 2 and tier 3. And as you've seen, like there are so many strategies out there that people talk about. And that was my job, is to learn these things. And so these are the ones that I used and started with. I put income shifting. I put accountable plan. These are things that we did. Now today, we have about 100 tax strategies we use, but we didn't start like that, right? And some of these are tier 3, which are really advanced. And most of these things we put into, we have a software called Tax Maverick that we use. And Tax Maverick has all of these strategies, and then it kind of helps you apply them. But see, I didn't have Tax Maverick when I started. So it was literally just using spreadsheets, looking at IRS publications, asking questions to other colleagues. It was learning and pushing every single day, trying to figure these things out. And so when I look back at the year 1, it was more about just doing the basics, not overwhelming myself, not committing to too much, and really focusing on giving the experience to the client. And that made me so much more valuable to me because, and I say to me because guess what? It allowed me to be more confident. And confidence is what we need. Confidence is a state of knowing the result. That's confidence. You know the result's going to come. And so when I look back at the first year of adding advisory, I would recommend to anybody who's in the strategy game, don't get overwhelmed. Don't think you have to know every single strategy. Knowing every strategy is not going to help you because the more strategies that you know, the more options you have. And one thing is very certain that I know is that when faced with options, most people get paralyzed. Let me say that again. When faced with options, most people get paralyzed. Like if, for an example, when you go to a restaurant, if the menu is 7 pages long versus 2 pages long, when the waiter walks up to you and says, hey, do you guys know what you want? You may say, I need to think about it. Why? Because I got 7 pages to go to, bro. Like I need more. I need to think about it. Versus if there's 1 or 2 pages, you're like, I know what I want that. And the reason is because you get decision fatigue, and decision fatigue means you have too many options. And so I wouldn't want to go to a client and say, oh, I have 13 options, I have 7 options. Pick the ones that move the needle the most, the ones that give me the biggest result, and that's what we focus on. And so in the beginning, it was just about tax strategy, and I'm here to tell you, you don't have to know every strategy. What you have to do is be committed to getting the new client. And actually, I'll summarize this for you, right? In one of my trainings that I do weekly, I talk all the time about how do I get a client, or how do I get an advisor to get out of their mind? And I ask this question, which I'll ask to you, which is, maybe you think you need to know everything before you begin. Maybe you have to know all the strategy, everything about it, the intricacies of the strategy. Maybe you need to know every little detail. That's very logical of you, right? And very, 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 very well thought out. But if you were to do that and you went and you buried your head in a book or online or some course, you would lose opportunities to get new customers, and somebody's going to get ahead of you because you're too busy studying while they're going and doing. So the alternative would be to go get a client and then ask them what their problems are and then have to find a solution, because instead of learning before you have to apply, you acquire a customer, then figure out how to apply. It may seem backwards, but it is the most logical way to do it, because you can't solve a problem you don't have. You can't solve problems you don't have. Many of us want to solve problems that we don't have. What's the point of learning something? Many of you have taken tests. You might be a CPA, an EA, or gone to some course or university, and they require you to learn all these things. They require you to go and get your education, right? And most of the things you learn on their formal education tests, you'll never apply in real life, so you forget. So 10 years from now, or from that date that you took the test, they ask you, hey, what about this? You're like, I forgot all that. Why'd you forget it? Because if you don't use it, you lose it. So only work on things you need to use, okay? So that's number one. Strategies you need are basic. Just work on the foundation stuff. All right, number two, who and what to offer. Let's do that again. Who and what to offer. Okay, this is important because maybe you're a little confused like I was. Maybe you thought, I don't know who to go after. In fact, when I became kind of a tax advisor, I didn't know who really to talk to, especially since I wanted to talk to a lot of local people, but I didn't know who they were. And most of them weren't in my client base. In fact, I sent an email out to all my clients about saving taxes. This is going to be a funny story, but I sent an email out to everybody about saving money on their taxes. And one of the funniest things is I got an email back from like 100 clients saying, I want help. Well, see, the message said, if you want to stop overpaying on taxes, send me an email. Well, I mean, I got 100 people that responded to that, but none of them owed taxes. They just didn't want to pay taxes, because the honest truth is, if you ask anybody in the world right now, do you overpay in taxes? Anybody, you ask anyone. And guess what? Everybody believes they overpay in taxes. Everybody does. Doesn't matter if they pay zero, if they get a refund. It does not matter. The majority of people today believe they overpay in taxes. So the language is not right. So you have to be specific on who you want, because if you want the right person, you got to call that right person out. So one of the challenges that I had in the beginning when I was offering advisory to my clients was, truthfully, I was offering everything to everyone. And that became a challenge, because I was offering tax prep, I was offering bookkeeping, I was offering payroll, I was offering notary services, and all different lines of insurance. And what I believed at the moment when I did this was that everybody needed to work with me. So if I met you at a meeting, if I met you online, if I met you at the grocery store, you and I could conduct business because I could solve a problem that you had. So I foresee every problem. I was thinking, well, if they start a business, they'll need bookkeeping. If they need bookkeeping, they'll probably need notaries. If they need notaries and bookkeeping, they'll probably need their taxes done. If they need taxes, they'll probably need to get health insurance. If they need health insurance, they'll probably need auto insurance, and then life insurance. And I just went down this whole tree of things that you could do with me. But the problem is that all those things require a different skill set, and you can't be the best at everything, number one. And all those things required a different way of marketing, meaning those are different messages to different people. And so what I was doing wrong was I was trying to talk to everyone, which never gave me a consistent message in marketing. I was trying to do everything, which never allowed me to be a master at anything. And to be truthful, it was very frustrating, confusing, and overwhelming to me most days. And so, because of that, it was like, who do I go after? Well, it's not who I go after, it's who do I attract. See, I don't need to chase people. I need to attract people. And the way we attract people is to become a person who's attractive, not just an appearance, by the way. I know some of you are very good looking. Actually, all of you probably are. But what I'm getting at is it's not a being attractive, it's by the person you've become and the person you've become known for. This would be defined as a person of influence, a person who is influential, right? A person of importance in the world because people know you for the solution. You want to be labeled in some respects. This is the tax savings guy or gal. This is the person you go to with this one problem. The problem with offering so many things was nobody knew me for anything. They were like, he solves every problem for everyone. So what should you offer is very important, but who you should offer it to. So you have to first make a commitment that you don't want to offer everything. You want to offer one thing. And if you do want to offer everything, think about it like this. Think about it like this. If you are going to offer everything, offer one thing that then goes to everything. So this is tax advisory first. So if you have clients over here, people who are interested in getting something from you, let's lead them to one thing. And this will help you, man. This will solve a lot of problems for you because it was a big problem for me is if you just led with the one thing that you want to lead with, then you can offer everything else. So for an example, when I started first offering advisory, I was still offering tax prep and a lot of people would reach out to me. And one client in particular called me up and says, "Hey, David, I need you to file my taxes." And I knew this was a high net worth individual. I knew that they had filed their taxes with me in the past, and I knew they had new businesses opening. So I said, this is a great question. I just want you to know I don't file taxes for anyone who does not do tax strategy with me. And immediately he says to me, "What's that?" And I said, "That means that we work on a tax savings plan throughout the year so that we can project and predict the taxable amount that you're going to owe to the IRS. And then you and I can strategize and knock it all out." And he says, "I want that." I said, "Perfect." So he's like, "But I need to do my taxes." I said, "We got to first start with this tax strategy, and then we can work on the tax return." Okay. So we start one place and then we lead them to where we want to go. And that's a challenge with most people because we want to take the revenue today. So we do this, we go this way, right? Imagine doing this, going this way now. It's a lot harder sale, by the way. And the reason it is imagine this is only $500. Okay. And guess what? You've got $500 for a return, but you could have gotten 5,000 here. Now, here's the problem. Try to sell somebody up and it's hard. What I mean by that is take somebody who gave me $500 and try to get them to give me 5,000. That's a hard sale. It's easier to take somebody who gave me 5,000 to 500. And that's what we want to do. So you have to be sure about what you offer to attract the right people. Now, once you understand what you want to offer and how you can position yourself as the expert, then we want to talk to people, right? First person I want to talk to is my warm audience. And if you don't know who your warm audience is, it's very simple. Your warm audience is going to be the people you know. This is your network of friends, family, emails. And here's a good example. I'll give you one. So when I was doing this, I was like, man, who do I know? And, I'm like, I don't know a lot of high net worth people. I don't know anybody who's got big tax bills because I really didn't. My client base was all refunds. And so then it was like, how can I find these people? And it's so funny because we think that we don't know anybody until we have to know somebody. Okay. It's like, I don't know any lawyers until I'm in trouble. I never knew a good doctor until I had an illness. You see what I'm saying? But here's the deal. How many of you guys have more than, in the chat drop, how many of you have had more than, let's say, 4 email addresses in your life? Like 4. I'm probably like on 17 emails. It's so crazy, right? You have like your AOL, which was my first. Then it was like Outlook and Yahoo and Hotmail and Gmails, and then your domain emails and your business email. And so think about all this. You have all these emails. How many contacts are in each one of those emails? And I would venture to guess it's more than 100 per email address, probably 2, 3, or 400, 500, or 1,000, depending on your connectivity in the world. Imagine if you scraped all that data into one batch of email addresses and contacts. I bet you it's clear 500 to 1,000, if not more, at least 100. So you've got this many people in your database that you can contact. Now, that's just using emails. Look at your phone book on your phone. If you don't want to look at that, go to your Facebook friends list, or go to your Instagram friends list, your contacts, your acquaintances, go to the groups or associations that you have relationships with. If you have friends that own businesses, those are good targets. If you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, that's a great target. Lions Club, Rotary Clubs, BNI groups, all of these are people that you know. You do have a list. And that's why it's so important that this is your message, tax saving strategies, not everything. Because in the past, you may have introduced yourself in a different manner. Now you want to say, I've started doing this. And now you introduce yourself. So you've got this warm list. So what do, right? You contact them. What do you say? Hey, it's David. Huge announcement. Me and my firm, we've been practicing tax preparation for many years. And today's a big announcement. We have now started to offer tax strategy. It's the art of helping you lower a liability to zero. We use advanced tax strategies that are written in the IRS code to minimize or eliminate your tax liability, and I want to help you. Here's a key statement. Do you pay more than $30,000 to the IRS every year? Because if you do, I can help you. Reply to this message with the word, I want to save, or 30K savings, whatever you wanted to say. And I'll hit you up where we can schedule a one-on-one consultation so I can learn more about you and your business, or you and your tax situation, so I can help you. Simple. You can do it in text. You can do that in email. Love, David. All right. Simple process. Once they reply, all you're going to do is say, hey, let's schedule a call. Now, on the call, right, what are you going to do when you get them on a call, right? You have to offer them something. And this is where we've shined, right? So as I grew, I realized I could not offer work for free. I did that for too long. And so when I started to think about what I was going to offer people, I said, I can't do things for free anymore. I can't just take information and use it. I didn't have a software like Tax Maverick back then, so it was manual work. So I said, I've got to charge these guys to do something. And so I thought about it like, what can I do? And I thought like doctor X-ray. X-ray they have to pay for. X-ray needs to be read. X-ray needs information to the doctor to be able to help you. And that's when I came up with this concept called an assessment. So I'm going to write this down. You might want to write it down too. An assessment, okay? Now, why is this so important? Because this assessment is a financial review. Think about it like financial x-rays. And so when I meet with a client, their prospective client, I would say, hey, I would love to help you grow. I would love to help you on your tax saving strategy. So if you'd like, we could do an assessment. They say, what's that? It's where I go deeper with you. I get to know you and your unique situation. I review past returns. I review your current financial performance for the year. And then what I do is I provide feedback and I provide a report, a tax savings report, which I call an assessment, where I'm going to show you exact savings and strategies to get that tax bill lowered. Sound like something you want to do? They say, I'm interested. Great. In order for us to move forward with this, there is an investment here. It's $2,500, $2,500. They'd say, well, let me think about it. Now, this is where you become a better salesperson, right? And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to go into this, but a very common objection is, let me think about it. And a good rebuttal for you would be, what is there to think about? Now, they may say, well, I just want to make sure I'm making a good decision. And then you would say, well, you told me a little while ago that you were paying $30,000 to the IRS. And they say, yes. And they say, is that a good decision? They say, no. You'd say, look, I'm not trying to tell you you're doing something wrong, but paying taxes is optional today. And what I'm showing you here today is an opportunity to help you save and never pay that bill again. And all I'm asking for is an investment, because the investment means an investment is value returned. And I'm going to give you a return here because I'm going to show you exactly what we need to do to take that bill down to zero. And now they have to rethink this and reevaluate and move forward with you. This is such a great strategy if you're starting tax strategy. Like if you're just starting in advisory, it's such a great strategy. So once you get them with the assessment, then you push them through the pipeline, you collect money, right? The assessment, really quickly, I'll review it. It is 2-year review of tax returns, financial performance for the year, and then evaluating where they're at from a tax liability perspective. Now, if you're using a software like a Tax Maverick, it's so easy because you just data entry, grab information, enter that information into Tax Maverick, and boom, it gives you the liability, gives you the strategies. It's got AI technology called Goose, gives you that automatically. You don't have to do about it. And if you're, by the way, I'm talking about it like you're already a user. If you're not using Tax Maverick, you can go to taxmaverick.com and get a free trial. Try it out. Promise you, you're going to love it because it's going to help you through that process. Okay, last thing, number 3, how much to charge and how to get paid. Well, I already gave a lot of that away. Like, how much do you charge? Well, depends, right? First, I charge for an assessment. And that's where I begin my engagement with the client. I don't charge to meet with me. I don't charge to, think for you. I just charge if you want me to work. So the next step is the assessment, but the next step is what we call implementation. And I'm going to give you an AKA, okay? AKA, also known as an annual program, okay? Now, an annual program is an agreement to work with a client throughout the year. This is the implementation of what you showcase on your assessment. So when I get the assessment and I show them the findings after I present the report, that's what I do. I show them this implementation and I say, hey, I'd love for you to work with me throughout the entire year where we execute X, Y, and Z. That's what we do. And the goal is to get the client to move this direction because you're going to show them the savings, and they're automatically going to say, man, I need this in my life. You see, if you showed a patient, if you were a doctor, the lab results or the tests, and then you identified that they have these problems, however many problems that may be. Once you identify these problems, then you say, hey, I want to help you. Here's the problem. This is the diagnosis. I'd like to give you and prescribe a treatment that I can offer to you, the treatment. And that is going to be you executing those strategies. Back to Tax Maverick again, inside of Tax Maverick. So when I was inexperienced, I had to figure this out on my own. And then when I learned these things, it's in Tax Maverick now where you just like Augusta rule, first thing, right? Evaluate the home, the square footage of the home, what the use is going to be, how often are they going to use it, how much can they get rental income for, and so on and so forth, and then how you transfer the money. Like I put the steps together, and that's what they're paying me for, to do the steps. And think about that. Like anybody here, this is a very good analogy, right? A very good analogy for everyone here is, I had somebody say to me the other day, David, well, why would we tell them exactly what we're going to do? Because you can actually give the implementation to your clients. You can say, here's how you fill this out. Here's how you do this. If you're dealing with a high income client who's got a $30,000 tax bill, do you think they're busy or not? Like, are they a busy person? And you can comment in the chat, but the obvious truth is they're busy. And telling them how to solve their problem is good, but they're not going to solve it. So what are they going to do? They're going to pay you to solve it. But how do I know this? A good example is, if anybody out there has ever gone to eat a meal anywhere, has there ever been a meal that you've eaten that you say, hey, I could have made a better meal than this at home? A good example, burger, right? You can go to McDonald's and eat a burger and be like, that was a good burger, but I'm sure I can make one at home. Well, why didn't you? It's not because you didn't want to. It's because you don't have the time, and it's not part of your plan. Even if McDonald's sent all the ingredients to your house, including their secret sauce, you probably wouldn't do it because the implementation is not something you want to do. You pay for them to cook the food. You are the implementer of the strategy, and you're going to pay again to do the strategy, execute the strategy. And this could be, truthfully, between $10,000 and $25,000 in a given year. So that's what you would do. And they call that an annual program. Now, when you ask for money, just to be clear, from this program, you want to make sure you add 2 things. Here are 2 key takeaways. You're going to require urgency and scarcity in this process. And I think this will help you a lot. Is urgency means to me, you're going to require that you tell them, you're going to say this: urgency means I can only take on this many clients, or you need to make a decision by Friday because after that, the price will go up. Scarcity means I can only take on this many clients. I can only take on 3 clients this month. I want you to be one of them. So they have to make a decision. And a lot of people in the tax industry or in general in sales never give a reason to take action. Urgency and scarcity does that. So if you're thinking about like, how do I get somebody to say yes without leaving me hanging for months or even a year? Give them urgency and scarcity. All right. So if you utilize these 3 steps, which is going to be number 1, the strategies you need to use. Number 2, learning who and what you're going to offer by understanding what you need to start offering, and then how much you should charge and how to collect that money. If you use this, I promise you'll be so much farther in the game of offering a tax advisory, because these are the 3 steps to offering tax advisory. Now, if you're struggling right now, either contemplating, should I do this now or should I do this later? There's never been a better time in my lifetime than to do something, and that's today. So if this information has helped you or served you in some way, please like, subscribe, follow. If you are out there and you're struggling offering this stuff, please, please, please don't stress it. Like, the reason that you are going through this challenge is because anytime you've ever experienced a challenge, that is the part where the growth happens. It's not supposed to be easy at first. It's not supposed to be, well, I can just do this. No, I struggled for years to build anything, right? That's what we do. You're an ambitious person. Ambition means frustration most days. Ambition is a desire to go forward, progress. Okay? You've got progress on your mind all the time. Frustration is reality not meeting that progress. All of us go through it. Okay? Now, every week I want to bring these live events to you to share with you ways that you can grow and scale your advisory business, even if you've never done this before, or even if you're an experienced advisor. I'm very thankful for you being here today. If you like this stuff, like, subscribe, share, comment. Give me your feedback in the comments. Tell me what the number 1 takeaway you had from this event, because I need to know so I can make more videos just like this to help you get to the next level in your advisory practice and to grow and scale and revolutionize your practice, because this is the Tax Practice Revolution channel. So thank you so much, guys. You have a fantastic rest of your day.